the oceans remain the least explored regions of our planet. Despite there being more than 200,000 known species inhabiting the waters, it is believed that as many as another 2 million are yet to be discovered. Even among the species we are familiar with, there is an incredible diversity, with countless creatures that seem almost unbelievable. Prepare to be both amazed and slightly repulsed as we dive into the 15 most bizarre-looking ocean creatures. Number 15. Sarcastic Fringehead. While the sarcastic fringehead may well have the best name of any fish in the world, it's also one that looks extremely peculiar and is highly aggressive against other members of the same species. Native to the Pacific Ocean along the American coast, they live at depths of up to 240 feet and usually nestle themselves within shells or gaps in reefs, where they wait for their prey to swim past. They grow up to 12 inches long, have very few scales, and develop extraordinary mouths. They use these to put their lives on the line in order to defend their territory, and when this argument is with another sarcastic fringehead, they'll push their mouths against each other. This isn't an affectionate display, though, and is literally an act of measuring up, the ones that are deemed to have the biggest mouth being deemed to be dominant. Occasionally, especially if they've lost a battle, a sarcastic fringehead will need to swim to a new location. But they don't do this like other species. They pulse their fins to make quick, sharp movements through the water, and often have a very limited range before needing to rest and build up their energy before starting again. Number 14. Christmas Tree Worm. One of the most beautiful but unexpected animals you'll see in the ocean is the Christmas tree worm, which is a species found in tropical waters around the world. They grow to around 1.5 inches long and have bodies that are covered in tiny bristles that are used to help them move around. Despite living in a marine environment, though, they have no ability to swim through the water and are instead limited to moving up and down inside specialized tubes that they form around themselves and are used to attach them to a reef. They aren't completely contained within these tubes, though, and grow a series of structures at the open end that function as a mouth and filter the water that flows past. These are made up of feather-like tentacles that are arranged in 2 distinct crowns that look just like Christmas trees. It's this and the range of colors that they develop that make them a popular sight for divers across coral reefs. You'll also see them in large aquariums, where they help to balance the ecosystem and add an extra dimension to the scene. Number 13. Frogfish. Found in virtually all oceans and seas around the world, frogfish are a type of deep-sea anglerfish that are one of the most unusual-looking types of fish in the world. They come in a range of different shapes and colors and are even able to change their appearance to blend in with their surroundings. What they all have in common is that they're relatively small and stocky, growing to between 1 and 15 inches long. Their bodies aren't streamlined at all, which means they do very little swimming and instead lay and wait for their prey to pass by before snapping into action. Their bodies are covered in spindly growths that further help them to hide because they look like weeds, and the furthest forward of their dorsal fins, called the elusive, has developed into becoming a lure and may look like a shrimp or a worm to attract prey. It's a hunting technique called aggressive mimicry, but their camouflage is also essential to their survival. They have no other means of protection like scales, so if a predator sees through the misdirection, there's very little a frogfish can do to avoid the inevitable. Number 12. Nudibranch. When you think of a mollusk, the first thing you'd imagine is the shell, but not every species has one. Nudibranch, for example, have a name that translates to mean naked gills, because, while they have shells in their larval stages, they shed them when they become adults. There are at least 3,000 different known species of nudibranch, most of which are differentiated by their bold and stunning colors, and can be found in saltwater regions across the world, from the coldest waters in the Arctic and Antarctic to the warmer tropical waters of the Caribbean, and have all developed adaptations for their particular environment. They also live at almost all depths, where they can crawl along the seafloor and pick up any nutrients that they can. Just because they don't have shells doesn't mean that they've lost all forms of defense, however. Some use their incredibly bright coloring to act as a deterrent to would-be aggressors, while others produce potent chemicals that are released into the water to stave off any attack. There's also one species called the glaucus, which is particularly dangerous to humans, not because of anything they make themselves, but because of their food source. Unlike other nudibranch, they float upside down at the surface of the water, one of the only creatures in the world that actively preys upon Portuguese man-o'-wars, meaning they are themselves full of the potent venom. Number 11. Red-lipped batfish. The waters off the coast of Peru and around the Galapagos Islands are some of the most biodiverse in the world and are where you'll find species not seen anywhere else. One of the most peculiar is called the red-lipped batfish, which gets its name because it looks as if it's recently applied a layer of lipstick. Living at depths between 10 and 249 feet, they aren't very good swimmers, so instead spend their lives walking along the seafloor with specially adapted fins. These fins, which resemble legs, give them an almost comical appearance as they stroll across the ocean bottom, earning them the nickname, the walking fish. Their unusual locomotion is a result of their pectoral fins evolving into limb-like structures, allowing them to navigate the rocky and sandy terrain with ease. Despite their awkward movement, they are skilled hunters, using their modified fins to ambush prey with surprising speed. The red-lipped batfish is also known for its curious behavior, often tilting its body forward as if it's bowing to the ocean floor. Their bright red lips, which stand out against their muted brown or gray bodies, have sparked much speculation among scientists and marine enthusiasts alike. It's there that they hunt their preferred prey of small fish and invertebrates, and when they reach adulthood, one of their fins transforms into a light-emitting lure to help attract their next meal. Typically growing to no more than 15 inches long, the red lips are the main way to differentiate this species from other types of batfish. Quite why they've developed such a visible feature isn't fully understood, but it's thought to be an easy visual way for them to recognize others that are like themselves and that they play a role in mate selection during the breeding season. They've occasionally been found further up the Pacific coast, even as far as California, but one of the unique reasons why they're able to thrive near the Galapagos Islands is that they have very few natural predators there. They aren't hunted by humans either, and despite their unusual looks, are usually seen as being too predatory to be suitable for inclusion in an aquarium. Now it's time for today's topic. At 1,000 feet below the ocean's surface, where light barely exists, a team of divers stumbled upon a creature unlike anything seen before. At first, it appeared to be an enormous, living anemone, but as they moved closer, its limbs began to shift, pulsating in an almost intelligent rhythm. What's baffling scientists is that this alien-like creature doesn't rely on scavenging or hunting for survival. Instead, it appears to photosynthesize, absorbing what little sunlight filters through the deep ocean. This discovery challenges everything we know about marine life. Up until now, no complex animal has ever been found capable of producing its own energy like a plant. Its bioluminescent patches seem to react to the diver's presence, possibly a form of communication or a defense mechanism. The species, dubbed Luminatus abyssus, may hold secrets about how life could evolve on other planets, a self-sustaining, light-powered being thriving in the cold abyss. But here's the strangest part. When scientists tried to collect a sample, the creature vanished in an instant, leaving nothing behind but a faint, glowing residue. Was it an escape mechanism, or something even more unexplainable? The mystery remains. Number 10. Gulper eel. Normally found at depths between 1,600 and 9,800 feet in the warmer ocean regions of the world, gulper eels are rarely seen by humans but never fail to surprise people when they do on occasion become trapped in a deep-sea fishing net. What's unusual about them, unlike other eels that are snake-like, gulper eels are also called pelican eels. They have huge heads and mouths. Very little is actually known about their bodies or behavior because they live at such depths that once they've been brought to the surface, they become extremely fragile. These mysterious creatures are masters of the deep, thriving in an environment where sunlight never reaches and pressure is crushing. Their large, expandable mouths are not just for show. They function like a net, allowing the eel to engulf prey in a single, swift motion. Despite their fearsome appearance, gulper eels are not aggressive toward humans and are more likely to flee than confront. Their bioluminescent tail, which glows in the darkness of the deep sea, is a mesmerizing sight and serves as both a lure for prey and a means of communication. Scientists believe that the eel's ability to stretch its mouth to such an extreme size is an evolutionary adaptation to the scarcity of food in the deep ocean. What's clear, though, is that the mouth is essentially connected to the body on a hinge, and this allows it to open so wide that the eel can catch fish much larger than themselves. The jaw is so huge that it's thought to make up at least a quarter of the eel's total length, which is usually 2.5 feet. Another unexpected adaptation is in the gulper eel's tail. It thrashes back and forth to propel through the water, but also has a series of light-emitting photophores and what appear to be tentacle structures. They therefore appear to glow pink or flash red lights as they swim through the water, something that's thought to help attract prey towards them. Number 9. Triggerfish. There are more than 40 known varieties of triggerfish, which can be found in the warmer regions of the oceans around the world, particularly in the Indo-Pacific. They are regularly seen coral reef species that prefer to stick to shallow waters and usually grow to a maximum length of 20 inches, with one exception, the stone triggerfish, which can be up to 3.3 feet long. The chances are that if you've ever swum over a reef, then you would have seen a triggerfish, and apart from being advised to stay clear of them because of how aggressively territorial they are, there's another good reason not to get too close. These fish are known for their striking colors and intricate patterns, which can range from vibrant blues and yellows to more subdued earth tones, making them a favorite among underwater photographers. Their unique dorsal fin, which can be locked into place like a trigger, gives them their name and serves as a defense mechanism against predators. Triggerfish are also known for their intelligence. They have been observed using tools, such as rocks, to crack open hard-shelled prey. Some species, like the Picasso triggerfish, are named after famous artists due to their artistic and almost surreal appearance. Despite their beauty, they are fiercely protective of their nests, often chasing away much larger intruders, including divers, with surprising speed and determination. From a distance, you'll rarely ever see their mouths wide open, but if you do, you're in for a real surprise because of their rather familiar set of dentures. Amazingly, many species of triggerfish have teeth that look just like those of a human and can potentially have the same crushing power too, which could be painful if they bite down around your finger. The reason for this is a similar one to why ours have developed in the way that they have. The triggerfish has a varied diet, including fish, crustaceans, and plant material that grows on the reef, and so need a variety of different types of teeth to be able to form manageable pieces of food to swallow. Number 8. Ghost shark. Chimeras, which are more commonly known as ghost sharks, are a group of fish that are closely related to sharks and rays, but diverged from them in the evolutionary chain around 400 million years ago. They live in regions around the world, but are rarely seen because they live in the depths between 600 and 9,000 feet. They're highly adapted to live in the dark, high-pressure depths of the ocean, and so look very different to animals that we see closer to the surface. They have soft, squidgy bodies that can be up to 5 feet long, depending on the species, and most have a sensory organ that detects electrical signals instead of having a snout to provide a sense of smell. They have blade-like fins that allow them to fly through the water, and unlike sharks or other fish, their skin is smooth to the touch with no scales at all. Ghost sharks are also known for their large, reflective eyes, which help them navigate the pitch-black depths of their habitat. Their unique appearance has earned them the nickname ghost shark, as they seem almost otherworldly when observed in their natural environment. Interestingly, some species of ghost sharks are bioluminescent, producing a faint glow that may help them communicate or attract prey in the darkness. Despite their eerie appearance, they are slow-moving creatures that spend much of their time gliding along the ocean floor in search of food. Their diet primarily consists of small fish, mollusks, and crustaceans, which they crush with their specialized grinding teeth. Despite being related to some of the most dangerous creatures in the oceans, chimeras don't pose any risks to humans at all. Instead of having rows upon rows of sharp teeth, they instead have 3 pairs of grinding teeth that they use to crush small crustaceans. There is one reason to be wary of chimeras, though, because most types grow a venomous spine in front of their dorsal fins that they use defensively. It won't cause more than an uncomfortable sting if you were to touch it, but it's often lethal when used against smaller animals. Number 7. Flamingo tongue snail. The flamingo tongue snail is a small species of marine snail that's native to the warmer waters of the western Atlantic Ocean and can be found all along the coast from Brazil up to Mexico and throughout the Caribbean Sea. They're renowned for their bright colors and patterning, but not all is as it seems with these snails. Collectors and divers often pick them up from reefs when they see them, but the unique coloration isn't in the shell of the snail itself. Instead, it's formed by a mantle tissue that's part of the living organism and extends around the shell. They may have fingertip-like patterns or brown dots, along with bright orange, pink, or white hues, and it's thought this is mainly to try to help camouflage in with the reef. When the animal is attacked, this mantle, which is similar to a tongue, can actually retract to reveal the true shell for defense, which means that when they're taken out of the water and die, they also lose the spectacular color. The snails usually grow to around 1 or 2 inches long and were once abundant on reefs around the region. Interestingly, flamingo tongue snails feed primarily on soft corals, using their radula, a specialized feeding organ, to scrape off the coral's polyps. This feeding behavior has led to some debate about their impact on coral health, though they are generally considered part of a balanced reef ecosystem. Their vibrant colors are not just for camouflage. They also serve as a warning to predators that they may be toxic or unpalatable. Despite their small size, these snails play a significant role in the biodiversity of coral reefs. Unfortunately, due to being taken by collectors and habitat loss, their numbers have begun to fall, and they're now considered to be at risk. Conservation efforts are underway to protect these unique creatures and their habitats, but more awareness is needed to ensure their survival. Number 6. Ribbon eel. The vividly colored ribbon eel is a species of moray eel that's native to the reefs and warmer places of the Indo-Pacific, ranging from East Africa to Australia and Japan. If you dive on the reefs in these regions, there's a good chance that you'll see the head of at least one peeking out of a crevice, but it's rare to see the entire creature in its full glory. They grow to around 40 to 50 inches long and are said to resemble the Chinese dragon because of their long, thin body and unusually high dorsal fin. When you swim past, they'll normally open their jaws as wide as they can, and this is a clue as to how they hunt. Instead of swimming freely in the water, they hide most of their body within a naturally formed hole in the reef with just the tip of their snout protruding. When potential prey swims past, they lurch forward and catch it in their mouth, then quickly pull it back into the lair where it has little chance of escape. Their hunting technique is so precise that they rarely miss their target, making them highly efficient predators. Ribbon eels are also known for their curious behavior, often poking their heads out of their hiding spots to observe their surroundings. This behavior has earned them a reputation as one of the more interactive and inquisitive eel species. Interestingly, their vibrant colors are not just for show. They may also serve as a warning to potential predators about their sharp teeth and powerful bite. Despite their striking appearance, ribbon eels are surprisingly shy and will retreat into their crevices at the slightest sign of danger. What's amazing about adult ribbon eels are their blue and yellow patterns, but this can change during their lives. It's believed that this may be linked to the eels actually being hermaphroditic, and the color alters as they change from male to female, but more studies are needed to know this for sure. One of the reasons why this isn't certain is because they're extremely difficult to keep in captivity and will often stop feeding altogether if they're removed from their natural habitat. Number 5. Sea pen. The term sea pen refers to between 200 and 450 species of what is known as octocorals, which have an eightfold symmetry. Instead of being one organism, they are instead a colony of hundreds or thousands of polyps. These polyps themselves look like small sea anemones, have 8 tentacles each, and are specifically adapted for particular purposes for the benefit of the whole, such as absorbing food, water, or reproduction. Several inches of the sea pen, which is so named because some species look like the feathers used as quills, remain beneath the seabed or coral to act as an anchor. The exposed part of the colony can grow up to 6.5 feet long. Because they are especially susceptible to strong currents, they are rarely seen shallower than 33 feet and have been recorded at depths in excess of 6,600 feet. The polyps work together in a highly coordinated manner, with some specializing in feeding while others focus on reproduction or defense. This division of labor ensures the survival and efficiency of the entire colony. Sea pens are also known to form symbiotic relationships with certain species of shrimp and fish, which find shelter among their polyps. These relationships benefit both parties, as the sea pen gains protection from predators while the shrimp or fish receive a safe habitat. Interestingly, some sea pens can retract into the seabed when threatened, disappearing from view in a matter of seconds. Their ability to bioluminesce not only attracts prey but also serves as a defense mechanism, startling potential predators. The intent is that the sea pen will stay anchored in the same place for as long as they live, which can be as long as 100 years. However, there are times when they will reposition themselves. Their ideal location is in the path of a gentle current, which carries nutrients directly to them. Some species are also bioluminescent, which acts as another method to attract microscopic prey towards them. Number 4. The barreleye. Very little light manages to penetrate to the depths of the ocean, so animals that live there have to adapt to this way of life. While some use bioluminescence to find their way around, there is a group of fish that have gone in a completely different direction. There are 21 known species of barreleye, which are present in oceans around the world. While their body shapes may differ substantially, they each use the same unique method of seeing their surroundings, which also makes them one of the most unusual-looking fish of all. This is because they have eyes that are barrel-shaped and tubular and actually look upwards. This allows them to discern shadows against the shimmering light above, which means they can either plan an attack on potential prey or plan an escape from a predator. That is not all that is unusual about their eyes, though, because the front parts of their heads are completely transparent. This is because they are actually able to control the movement of the eyes so they can rotate down and instead look directly ahead. The transparent dome covering their heads is made of a specialized tissue that protects their eyes while still allowing light to pass through. This adaptation is so effective that it has inspired researchers to study its potential applications in optical technology. Barrel eyes are also known for their slow, deliberate movements, which help them conserve energy in the nutrient-scarce deep sea. Their unique vision system allows them to detect even the faintest traces of light, giving them a significant advantage in their dark environment. Interestingly, their eyes are so sensitive that they can even detect the bioluminescent flashes of other deep-sea creatures. This makes them formidable hunters, capable of spotting prey from a distance. The whole design is to maximize the amount of light that enters the head and therefore the eyes. With a much higher level of sensitivity than in most any other animal, barrel eyes are able to see in a way that no other creature at depth can. Number 3. Blobfish. Possibly the strangest-looking ocean creature that we know of is the Cycroliths microporus, which is more commonly known as the blobfish. It is a deep-sea species that lives at depths between 3,000 and 20,000 feet in the waters around Australia and New Zealand. The first specimen was captured in 1983, and scientists could not believe what they were looking at. Since further individuals have been found, it has become clear that not all is exactly as it seems. They are well known for their globular appearance, almost seeming like a human face that has been made from a soggy gelatinous substance. Weighing around 4 pounds, they are white in color and have extremely wide mouths. However, this is not what the fish actually normally looks like. This is because they live at such depths that they are exposed to extreme pressures. Animals in this situation do not often have skeletal structures and instead rely on the pressure of the water to hold their bodies together. Interestingly, the blobfish's gelatinous flesh is less dense than water, allowing it to float just above the seabed without expending much energy. This adaptation is crucial for survival in an environment where food is scarce and energy conservation is key. Their diet primarily consists of small crustaceans and other slow-moving creatures that drift into their path. Despite their unappealing appearance when brought to the surface, blobfish play an important role in their deep-sea ecosystem. Their unique physiology has also made them a subject of scientific interest, particularly in studies on how life adapts to extreme environments. When they are alive, they look recognizably like any other type of fish and certainly nowhere near as strange as the captured specimen. The reason for this difference is because when they are caught at depth and brought to the surface too quickly, the fast drop in pressure causes the cells in their tissue to rupture and lose their cohesiveness. The result is this strange mound of flesh that we know as a blobfish, something that you will fortunately never have to worry about encountering when you are swimming in the water. Number 2. Red hand fish. Sometimes when naming newly discovered animals, scientists will try to use their own name or a clever word that sums it up. On other occasions, they will simply name them after an obvious physical feature, and that is exactly what happened with the red hand fish. As the name would suggest, this species is particularly unusual because it has red fins that almost look like hands and are what the fish uses to walk along the seabed. They are native to the waters around Tasmania, but thanks to climate change and fishing in the area, they are now only found in 2 locations and are classified as critically endangered. It is not just their hands that look strange, though, because there are other characteristics that make them incredibly unusual. Growing to between 2 and 3 inches long, their bodies are covered in light pink skin with red blotches, possibly in an attempt to camouflage within the reef. They also have a series of wart-like structures that cover them, and no one is entirely sure what the purpose of these are. Some scientists speculate that these warts may help with sensory perception, allowing the fish to detect changes in their environment more effectively. Others believe they could play a role in attracting mates or deterring predators, though this remains a mystery. The red hand fish's unique walking motion is another fascinating aspect, as they use their hand-like fins to crawl across the seabed in a manner reminiscent of a lizard. This method of movement is incredibly rare among fish and highlights their adaptation to life on the ocean floor. Despite their small size, red hand fish are known to be quite territorial, often defending their chosen patch of seabed with surprising tenacity. As is the case with other fish that walk along the seabed, red hand fish are not streamlined at all because they have no need to glide through the water. This has led them to developing large and stocky bodies in comparison to their length, which gives them greater dominance over the other species they share their habitat with. Number 1. Squid worm. Despite looking like squids, squid worms are instead worms, but very little is known about this strange species because of where they live. In fact, they were only first classified in 2007, and since then scientists have begun to realize how wide and varied they actually are. They live in deep waters around the world at depths of around 6,000 to 10,000 feet, and are a free-swimming worm that is unlikely to ever see solid ground at all during their lives. Growing to around 3.5 inches long and an inch thick, they have a series of 10 appendages that extend from their heads, and it is these structures that make them look so similar to squid. Interestingly, these appendages are not just for show. They are highly sensitive and help the squid worm detect movement and changes in their environment. Some researchers believe these appendages may also play a role in communication, though this remains unconfirmed. Squid worms are also known for their unique swimming style, which involves a graceful undulating motion that allows them to navigate the dark, open waters with ease. Their ability to thrive in such extreme conditions has made them a subject of fascination for marine biologists. When they are young, squid worms are almost entirely transparent, and it is only when they reach adulthood that they turn brown in color but are still slightly see-through, which means you can observe most of their internal organs. At such depths, there are not many other things to hunt and feed on, so squid worms have evolved to survive entirely on marine snow, which is the debris from plant and animal matter that sinks to this level from higher up. Ever since they were first discovered, further trips have found huge numbers of similar species, and it is now thought possible that they may well be one of the most prevalent animals on Earth, although further study is needed to know this for certain. Which of these creatures fascinates you the most? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out the other cool stuff appearing on the screen. I'll see you next time.